Welcome to the Stories World. The ghost of Eden Hill School. It was about a year ago, during the final exam season, that something strange happened to me. As the exams were approaching, I had a lot of preparation left to do. Our school's library usually closed by 5 p.m., but during exams they extended the hours until midnight so students could study longer. Since my house was close to the school, I preferred studying in the quiet library rather than at home. That evening, I left my house at 6 o'clock and arrived at the library to continue preparing for my exams. I was so engrossed in studying that time slipped away without me noticing. When I checked my watch, it was already 10 p.m. I had never stayed that late at the library before. Usually I would leave around 8 p.m. when a few students would still be around. But at 10 p.m., the place was eerily silent. I had about 10 to 15 minutes of work left, so I decided to quickly finish it and head home. I focused back on my notes, but then, out of nowhere, I heard the distinct sound of someone limping across the library floor. Thud. 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 The noise was faint but unmistakable. My heart started racing. I turned around, but there was no one in sight. The library was completely empty. Trying to brush it off as my imagination, I hurriedly gathered my things and rushed out. The library is connected to a long corridor, which leads to the school exit. At the end of the corridor, there's a right turn that takes you to the main door. I walked as fast as I could, but when I reached the end of the corridor, I froze. A woman was standing at the far end, right near the exit. She stood completely still, staring straight ahead. I had never seen her before, and something about her presence filled me with unease. As I got closer, the feeling of dread intensified. My instincts told me to turn back, but I had no choice but to pass her to leave the school. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice trembling. The second I spoke, the woman vanished. She was there one moment and gone the next, like she had never existed. I was so relieved that I didn't question it any further. I bolted out the front door. Outside, the street was unsettlingly empty. Normally there would be a few people around, even at this hour, but tonight it was dead quiet. Exhausted and hungry, I kept my head down and walked briskly toward my house, trying not to think about the strange encounter. That's when I saw a shadow stretching out in front of me on the ground, but when I looked up, there was no one nearby. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a woman appeared in front of me. She was walking very slowly, her gait awkward, as if she was struggling to move. Her clothes were tattered and dirty, and her hair hung in messy strands over her face. Her hands and feet were unnaturally twisted. Something about her felt wrong. My gut screamed at me not to approach her, but I had already come too close. I couldn't move forward, and I didn't have the courage to turn back. The woman stopped and turned toward me, her face partially hidden in the shadows. "Have you seen my daughter?" she asked in a raspy voice. I stood there, frozen in terror, unable to speak. Her question caught me completely off guard, and I felt a chill run down my spine. She repeated the question, louder this time. "Have you seen my daughter?" Desperate to get her away from me, I pointed down the street. "She's over there," I lied, hoping she would leave. The woman limped in the direction I pointed, disappearing into the darkness. I couldn't see her anymore, but I was still paralyzed with fear, worried she might reappear at any moment. That's when I heard her scream, piercing the silence of the night. "She is here," the woman shrieked. I don't remember what happened after that. When I regained consciousness, I was lying on the ground outside my house. My neighbor had found me passed out and brought me inside. I later learned from him that the woman I saw was Agatha, a local legend. In 1998, Agatha's 10-year-old daughter, who had attended the same school as me, died in a tragic accident while playing with her friends. Agatha was devastated by the loss and couldn't bear the grief. Soon after, she disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Some say she took her own life, while others believe she wandered off, mad with sorrow. Ever since then, Agatha's ghost has been spotted near Eden Hill School, endlessly searching for her lost daughter, calling out to anyone she meets. And on that night, she found me.